Hello and a very good evening. Welcome to ELITETV's Open Debate in English. Today being Monday, we will be conducting our open debate in English. I'm Longjam Utpala, your host for tonight. Domestic violence is stated as per the report of the National Family Health Survey as the highest crime against women, surpassing rape. Violence in general is excessively increasing in our country. We as a nation are witness to a patriarchal structure of society with an outdated and orthodox mindset that is submissive to women. Domestic violence is widespread, deeply ingrained, and has serious impacts on women's health and well-being. Its continued existence is morally indefensible. Its cost to individuals, to health systems, and to society is enormous. Yet no other major problem of public health has been so widely ignored and so little understood. Domestic abuse can be in any form: mental, physical, financial, and sexual, but these data largely focus on physical and sexual abuse at the domestic level. A recent United Nations Population Fund report also revealed that around 2/3 of married women in India were victims of domestic violence. Violence in India kills and disables as many women between the ages of 15 and 44 years as cancer, and its toll on women's health surpasses that of traffic accidents and malaria combined. The percentage of cases is different for every state, but the highest and lowest percentage of domestic violence doesn't reflect the performance of the state for the same. As the most improved domestic abuse cases include states with the highest domestic abuse percentage as well, such as Manipur, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh at 39.6%, 36.9%, and 30% respectively. Whereas states with the lowest percentage of domestic abuse cases, such as Lakshadweep, Nagaland, and Goa, had declined from past percentages of 8.9%, 13.1%, and 12.9% respectively, as per the reports of NFHS4. Some myths about domestic violence are: alcohol and drugs make men more violent. Domestic abuse always involves physical violence. He can be a good father even if he abuses his partner. The parents' relationship doesn't have to affect the children. She provoked him. Domestic abuse is a private family matter and not a social issue. Now, that brings us to the topic for our debate tonight: domestic violence, the cost of doing nothing. Let me quickly take the privilege to introduce our panelists who are joining us tonight. On the screen, going from my left to right, we have Ms. Vevian Zou, Center Administrator for SAKHI One Stop Center, Churachandpur, Chairman, Local Complaint Committee, POSH, Protection of Sexual Harassment at Workplace, Sisipur District. Welcome to ELITETV Open Debate, Vivian.
Thank you.
And next we have Dr. Asheema Haobijam, Consultant Psychiatrist, Advanced Hospital. Welcome to Open Debate, ELITETV Open Debate, Dr. Ashima.
Thank you so much.
Right, and last but not the least, we have Ms. Sophiya Rajkumari, ITA Northeast Women's Network Chairperson and Founder. Welcome to ELITETV Open Debate, Ms. Rajkumari Sophiya.
Thank you so much, Utpala.
Once again, a warm welcome to all our three panelists. And so let's begin our debate now. The first question I would like to ask would be to Vivian. Vivian, can you tell us, is there any correlation between domestic violence and substance abuse?
Yes, ma'am. So far, as per this research, that has been indicating that 25 to 50% of the men who committed domestic violence suffer from substance use disorder.
Okay.
And then they are more likely to commit domestic violence. And also they are more, after decades of substance abuse has been, they have been found out that there is an association with violence behavior. Some experts believe that the reason people become so aggressive is due to the way the drug affect the brain. Either it's alcohol or either the brain. They don't have the rational thinking. They miss the social and environment cues, where that helps them interpret the situation rationally.
Okay.
Likewise, those who experience domestic violence are also at high risk of abusing intoxicated things in the coming future. Be it of any kind. It could be physical, mental, and also emotional violence, and financial also.
So, okay, so this is the correlation between substance abuse and domestic violence. What about educated people? Okay, we may say, let's say, usually when we talk about domestic violence, the mind tends to think that the perpetrator is usually illiterate or uneducated. In your experience, have you come across people who are educated as well, educated men or women who are the perpetrators? And what kind of victims?
Yes, ma'am, because though we are literate and we are the sort of current perpetrator, let's say, however, the brought up, the psychology that comes when they're growing up, the environment that they grew up, and in child psychology, mostly children imitate the way the parents behave or the environment behaves. So if they tend to see violence happening over and over again, and then they felt that that is the culture to teach women a lesson by slapping them, or by giving them a name calling, or by putting them down or intimidating them, and then that is okay in the culture. And even if you're educated, or the conscience might say that it is wrong, however, it is in the way of when they are brought up, the kind of psychology that they are instigated with has subconsciously come out when they are intoxicated. Although education people, there is no determination that they will not drink, they will not do drugs. When you say education people, literate people, it has to define intoxicated people or unintoxicated people. When we are unintoxicated, we are a little bit rationalized than the intoxicated people. So that is how we find it.
Thank you so much. I'll come back to you in the next round. My next question is for Ms. Rajkumari Sophiya. Can you tell us what are the causes of domestic violence in Manipur, as per your experience?
Thank you, Utpala, and first of all, I would like to thank ELITETV for having me tonight. Before going to the causes of domestic violence in Manipur, I would like to just delve into what domestic violence is. We know there are different type of crimes against women, but the moment when you say domestic violence, it means any violence suffered by a woman from a very close proximity or a member of your family or relative. So this is one thing we have to underline, differentiate the nature of violence against women. So the moment we say domestic violence, it means any form of violence inflicted to women by a family or in any relationship partners or ex-partners or family friends. So that is one. So and coming to the causes of domestic violence, in context of domestic violence in Manipur, I would like to just go not case wise. I just want to like little bit go like into the like what to say, the family structure. Okay, so we have the basic family structure, how the family members have been placed, like male, female. It's the power structure is one thing which I would say the one of the main cause. And then we have this like we're talking about substance abuse, which is again one of the cause, and then infertility, sex determination. Even though we said dowry demand is not there, but somewhere it's increasing in a very subtle, very alarming way, like how the need for dowry somewhere both the giver and the receiving is taking place is quite alarming in our society. This is again one of the factors. And then among all of this, like we as a society, we need to a little bit understand and accept that we admire and adore women who go through hardship. Yes, a woman who inflict, who faces abuses from the alcoholic husband or an abusive husband, society will appreciate her. Oh, she endured the hardship, she endured the violence. Despite so much of violence, she endures it. She looked after the alcoholic or the abusive husband and the family. So we all kind of go into that jaunt of admiration. Woman has to go through hardship. So this is one thing which we need to break it, because a woman who stand up for her own individual is considered as like some type of she is so and so, she is uncontrollable, she's crazy, so those kind of women is not accepted and given place in a society. Only women who go through hardship, who endure abusive relationship are that we consider like we admire. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Sophiya Rajkumari. I'll come back to you regarding this in the next round. Some more questions related to what we just spoke about. Next, we'll move to Dr. Ashima. Doctor, can you tell us what is the cycle of abuse? How does it start and how does it escalate? Does it just end at one, or does it, when it starts, does it continue, or can it happen that it just was just one odd incident and it never happens again?
Okay, like the term itself suggests, it's a cycle, so it will continue. Basically, a cycle of abuse is kind of the pattern of behavior that the abuser uses, and also the psychological tools to kind of maintain the cycle,
Okay.
Because when we say of domestic violence, people will think it's the husband or the male member is beating up the female or is abusing her mentally. Then we ask, why doesn't she leave? Many times we are asking, why doesn't she leave? Some of the women who are very well educated, some of them have good jobs, and you're very stunned. Okay, why is not she leaving? So this cycle of abuse is how the perpetrator is using it to control the victim. Or the survivor, let's say. So it starts with the kind of a tension period, firstly, where the perpetrator himself has a kind of a stressful environment. It can be related to job, it can be related to substance use, as other speakers were saying. It can be related to any other thing which is causing him distress. So what happens is, when this distress accumulates, it leads to the incidents of abuse, which can be mental abuse, it can be physical abuse, it can be sexual abuse. So after the incident, what happens next is a reconciliation. And the calmness. So this reconciliation in the calm phase is the true phase which is keeping the victim in her place, so as to say. It is preventing her from going out of the cycle. So what happens in reconciliation is the perpetrator becomes extremely kind. He will appear to be very regretful. He will appear to be very apologetic even. So he will become more, let's say, more caring towards the victim. He may do acts of kindness, like give her gifts, give her reassurances, and then when the victim kind of feels that maybe he has changed, or maybe he's going to give her more security, maybe he's not going to repeat it again. Then after that comes the period of calmness. We also call it the honeymoon phase. Here the love, so to say, the relationship goes into a very romantic kind of phase, where the person and the perpetrator feels, okay, we have come out of that phase of abuse. Now we are going to be fine again. But what happens is, the calmness doesn't last very long. The perpetrator will again go into the stage of distress. And then the cycle will be repeated. So that is why even the mental health of the perpetrator is very important in this case. So this cycle has to be stopped somewhere.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashima. I'll come back to you in the next round. So we'll move to Vivian. Vivian, can you tell us what can the victim of domestic violence do? How can the victim, be it a male or a female, usually female, how can they protect themselves, and what are few of the steps that that she can do or take to protect herself?
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Firstly, they can call a toll-free number in Manipur, 181 number, where always 24/7 the service is available.
Okay.
At the same time, they can approach the one-stop center,
Okay.
which is available at all 16 districts in Manipur,
Okay.
24/7, and also WPS or any police station who can assist them in lodging any kind of FIR or any grievances.
Okay.
So that is the first thing that they can do. And then the other thing is that it depends on the cases that they are going through. They should also not compromise
Okay.
in the kind of situation that they are in. Some of us accept the situation that we are in by saying that, or the society make us believe that
Yes.
we deserve this.
Uh-huh.
Because name calling is okay because we are that person or this and that. And then we have that kind of low morality in ourselves. Either we suffer from the same or either similar to it kind of violence, or maybe a social economic issue that we suffered itself that make us low morality, and we are not, women ourselves are not resilient enough to stand up for our own right, though we knew it. And however, yes.
Yes, please carry on.
Oh, thank you. The other thing is that in Manipur, we have done a lot of awareness for women empowerment. However, in many of my attendance, I have barely seen a male attendance.
Okay.
Women knows their right, they are empowered. However, to the person who is supposed to understand them, they are less giving the victim or the women less importance about the rights. Because it's a patriarchal society, and
Yes.
the mothers and the society support it. Even slapping itself, she has to learn a lesson, kind of a thing. So even the woman knows her right, she doesn't have confidence. And one-stop center is always available for all women in distress who face violence and trauma or any kind of distress in any district in Manipur. And the services that has been provided are not only in lodging and fire, it's about shelter, it's about psychosocial counseling until they are okay. We manage, we monitor them.
Okay.
So and another thing is that when lodging an FIR or having women empowered, women tend to use their rights in the wrong way. Or while lodging the FIR, they kind of like negotiate it internally without our knowledge, without the authority knowledge.
Okay.
And then it become like their own way of resolving it. And then they say that I would withdraw the case when it was so very serious. Towards the end, it becomes more like a very lame case or either a very small scenario.
Right.
So that is the kind of thing that we have faced.
Okay. Thank you so much, Vivian. I'll come back to you in the next round. Next question is for Ms. Rajkumari Sophiya. Well, Vivian was just talking about how a victim might withdraw their complaint, and in the previous round you spoke about how women who face hardships are kind of admired, or they're said to be strong women. So can you clear that misconception about what a strong woman really is? In fact, I don't think enduring pain or any kind of abuse is strong. So can you give us a little more information, your views on that, and also what can we do so that in case they lodge a complaint and we make them confident enough not to withdraw that complaint, and so that they do not negotiate amongst themselves internally?
Okay. Yeah, Utpala. Yeah, I didn't mean enduring those hardships that I mean it's literally they are a strong woman. But in our society, women who endure like violence and who take care of their this abusive husband or the family, and for the sake of the children, whatever reason it is, to save the marriage, or to be with whatever, we don't want to tag as a divorcee. So like divorcee is another thing which many women in our society don't prefer. They rather endure violence than to separate from the abusive marriage. Okay, so what I mean to say is that we admire and we adore her. You can see that in the movies, in Manipuri film, or anything, or any 2-3 people gathering will say, oh, that lady, she is amazing. Despite our colleague husband, she is taking care of the family.
Right.
She's holding the family, she's holding the family united.
Right.
So this is one of the reason why I mentioned this is I feel this is one of the reason for the increase in domestic violence against women.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you think that is your observation, right?
Yes,
and
that's my yes.
Yes.
That's my
So do you think this should continue, or the victim should take some steps to improve her life?
Yes,
and what are some of the steps that she can take?
Yes, not only the victim, we all as a society need to stand against it and say no and support the victim. Like for instance, the recent unfortunate case of this lady who committed suicide.
Right.
She before she before this incident happened, she had called out for help multiple times. Okay. She had called out for help to her family. She had called out help to the neighbor. We all, it's not just the perpetrators, we all fail in this. The family fail her, the neighbor fail her. Okay, instead of seeing, when she went back from her, when she left her matrimonial home and went to her parental home, when, instead of the family saying that, don't go, we are there for you, they are bringing her back to the matrimonial home again in the hostile environment, saying that you need to compromise, you need to stay in this environment. In fact, one day or something like that, she again ran out from the home because she was facing abusive, physical abuses from the perpetrators.
Okay.
Again, the neighbor, instead of sending her back, they came and took her back, but instead of standing for her, no, you cannot take her, or informing the police, she went back, and the next day she was found dead. So this is not just the perpetrator society as a whole. We all fail women who face in this kind of situation. So we need to stand, if we face any weaknesses, instead of saying it's a family affair, you just stand for the woman and say that no, this is not a family affair. This is a state affair. This is, as a citizen, it's our responsibility to say no, or to inform, or call a police, or dial the emergency number. But we all fail to do that, because none of us bother until and unless some grave incident like this happen. So we all come out, to protest, to vandalize, to do all kinds of things. But when the woman was really needing the help, no one helped her. No one believed her. She was sending the images of the bruises she got from this abuses.
Right. That's absolutely right. I completely agree with that. Thank you so much, Ms. Sophiya Rajkumari. I'll come back to you in the next round. My next question for Dr. Ashima. Well, Dr. Ashima, you spoke about that the mental health of the perpetrator also matters. So, first of all, what are what are kinds of domestic abuse a man or a woman can be subjected to? We've already mentioned it, but if you could just reiterate. And also, as a counselor, do you come across couples coming in for counseling, or do you think it's very difficult for a man, or let's say even if the abuser is a woman, to accept that what they're doing is actually an abuse, and are they even aware of it, or do they think it's very normal?
Okay, coming to the first portion of the discussion, being that the mental health of the abuser. So what I mean by mental health of the abuser here, when I say mental health, I'm not saying we should sympathize with him or we should, look at him through some rose-tinted glasses. No, I am saying that I think domestic violence is a disease. It's a crime, and someone who is doing it willingly, I'm sure we can term him as a mentally ill person or who needs help. To change his way of thinking. And secondly, about alcohol abuse, a person who, like I said, the stage of distress, that was the first in the cycle, Why is the person having distress in the first sense, And many of the abusers, usually they come from dysfunctional families, they have gone through childhood traumas, they have already seen their fathers abusing their mothers. So we need to address this core issue. That was what I was trying to say about the mental health.
Okay.
Secondly, what were you saying? I forgot.
Do they come for counseling? Like, does the abuser even accept that they're abusing? Are they aware of it?
Yeah, they do come for counseling. Usually, it's the victim or the wife or the female partner who will come. They will come for some non-specific issue first. Usually, let's say they come for seeking help for anxiety or depression, or normally just want to talk sometimes. When you start talking to them, then this abuse will come to light. So many times I will ask to bring them their, their husbands, their partners. Most of the time, the partners very openly say, okay, she does something which provokes me. Kind of like she asked for it. Many of them have openly told me, okay, if my wife does something which doesn't please me, any guy will hit the person. Many of them are like completely normalizing it, they don't even think, it's a crime or it's something like that. Very few of them do acknowledge it's a problem that is causing distress to the partner and he needs to change. Though the change is very difficult, but if someone puts their mind or their heart or their efforts to it, I have seen couples who have come out of it, who have reduced the cycle, or many who have come out of it also, but most of them don't think it is abuse. I think it's more to do with our culture also. There is this notion that a woman has to be controlled in our society. I don't know control from what or control from whom, but they feel like she needs to be controlled, she needs to be corrected like she is a child. I think this is the notion which carries on this cycle in the minds of our men here, I think.
Okay, but is there any way that you said some of them are aware that it is abuse, but is there any way that we could make more people aware that this is not right and it's a punishable crime?
A way will be to, individual level, we all can do our own part. First of all, we, like 4 of us, let's say we are aware of domestic violence. If you talk to the women folk also, if you talk to some of the ladies, many of them, they think themselves it's justified. Even some of the victims will tell me, okay, I did this, that's why he beat me up. It's very surprising, but they will say this, it was my fault, that is why he did this. So the change has to come from every part. Correcting someone, correcting their mistakes is completely fine. You can correct your wife, you can correct your husband, anyone. But physical violence, abuse is not the way. This has to be instilled in everyone.
Right.
First, the women, that you don't deserve to be beaten up, no matter what your fault may be. You can have a discussion, you can be corrected, you can have a divorce if you don't like them, if you don't like your wife. But beating is a crime. This has to be instilled first in the individual level. But if you want to go widespread, you have to, you have to bring in the authorities, you have to bring in the government, let's say, to bring on more programs so that the stigma, so that let's say the knowledge about domestic violence, that it is wrong and it is a crime, can be perpetuated in the society, the people as such. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Ashima. I'll come back to you again in the next round. My next question for Vivian. Vivian, are there shelters in Manipur where victims of domestic violence can stay and seek refuge, and how safe are they? If they are, what is the kind of protection? First of all, are there any shelters in Manipur for victims?
Yes, ma'am, there are shelters. First of all, where we work right now is one-stop center, SAKHI One-Stop Center.
Okay.
It is presented in all 16 districts.
Okay.
Very much active, available 24/7, where psychosocial counseling, medical assistant, legal aid counseling, shelter, and also lodging and FR if needed be, video conferencing. All these services are provided,
Okay.
of course, from the government side, not with a cost.
Okay.
And it has been given to every district and an awareness of what kind of services that has been
I'm sorry to
provided.
interrupt you. Did you say it's free of cost?
Yes, of course,
Okay,
because
free of
it is
cost.
a government provided. It
Okay.
is run by central government under Ministry of Women and Child. So this center run effectively and efficiently in all districts. And so far, over the past, from 2017, there has been Thobal center that has been opened up, and from 2019, another centers in another district has opened up. Until now, we have more than 1,000 cases in Manipur,
Okay.
where
Wow.
mostly are under domestic violence, sexual abuse, rape under a minor and also an adult.
Okay.
So we have been capacitated enough to handle those cases.
Okay.
And also, we have only for 5 days of shelter in the center. However, if they needed more than those days to be accommodated, there is a Swadagre in every district, and also an Utpala home where victims can be facilitated with medical assistance, psychosocial counseling, and also some of them even provided skill training for their own livelihood.
Okay, so Vivian, after 5 days, you said they can be accommodated for 5 days. So after 5 days, let's say if they're not, they cannot go back to their parental home, where would they, do they help in providing accommodation or searching for accommodation for such victims?
Ma'am, every district has Swadagre.
Okay.
That is for only women in distress
Okay.
who needs further assistance.
Okay.
Let's say if one-stop center cannot provide it, more than 5 days, Swadagre is the Utpala home is there,
Okay.
where they provided even similar or more services than one-stop center.
Okay.
So, like I said, medical attendance, psychosocial counseling, accommodation, fooding and lodging has been
Okay.
provided.
Okay.
So, women of any age, any kind of issues.
Okay.
However, if they ever are in distress, they can approach that center.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. That's very encouraging to hear. Thank you. I'll come back to you. Ms. Rajkumari Sophiya, this will be related to law, as you're also aware of. I mean, since you do practice, can you tell us, like, as Dr. Ashima had mentioned that some of the victims are, they think, or the abuser thinks that he was provoked by the victim, and the victim sometimes they admit that yes, they were the ones who provoked and they accept it. And because of the shame and stigma, people do not really report such incidents. But does the law provide some sort of protection for domestic violence? And if it is, can you tell us a little more about it?
Utpala, can you come again? I really didn't get the question.
Okay, I was saying that, well, Dr. Ashima said that the victim sometimes thinks that they deserved that the abuse.
Violence, abuse.
Yes, and sometimes the abuser says that they were provoked, and this way the action gets justified or normalized. But
No, see, there is no justification for violence. Okay, you cannot justify that she did this, she cooked badly, or she look after the children not to my satisfaction, or she doesn't clean the house, or she doesn't take care of my parents as a parent, so I can hit her, or she come home late. There is no justification for domestic violence in any law. So whatever justification the women believe that this is not the law which put on her, this is the social norms which we all are, what you say, that forced to believe. Okay, so if whatever, like, it's, you come late home, you cannot be beaten. There are other recourses you can take upon, not physical violence. So there is no justification on physical abuse.
Okay, so in such a case, in case of an abuse, I just came across some articles saying that most of the victims usually go to the hospital rather than to the police first. So obviously, and then even at the hospital, let's say if they have a fracture, they say they fell down. It's obviously because of the shame and stigma, as you mentioned earlier. So in such a case, are hospitals equipped with any sort of like the law enforcement where such matters are looked into, like these accidental cases? Let's say they may look like an accident, but it's actually an abuse. So do they have any such facilities?
I think we lack that in our country. Like, for example, in the US, like, I got some huge bruises on my thigh because of excessive exercise, and I had to, it's kind of an internal hemorrhage.
Okay.
So I was admitted to the hospital as an emergency at night.
Okay.
So after the doctor had given me medication, and there are like a couple of people who came and were very friendly to me, and I didn't know the system there. It was like very surprising for me. So they were talking to me nicely, what happened, and they didn't believe that because of the excessive exercise, I got that internal hemorrhage.
Okay.
So they were constantly, since they came to know that we are from India, and so they kind of have some what to say, that kind of already preconceived notions of Indian men. So like those 2-3 people were constantly asking me, please let us know, nothing will happen if your husband did anything, like for like not just once, like for like more than an hour, they were like literally. So I don't think we have that in our country, and we are not sensitive that way, like to deal those cases. But we should, if a doctor feel, when an abuse, like when a woman goes to the police for a fracture which is inflicted by the abusive husband, if there is any kind of little bit of what you will say, that doubt or anything that this could be a domestic violence, the doctor should inform the police.
Okay.
Or but the women usually they will wait, and they will compromise, they will endure till the end,
yes, exactly.
endure. So this is one problem, because we fail, like as I mentioned, all the family, the society, we all fail in this. We don't, if a woman come out of the marriage and they'll say, oh, she's too much, look at
exactly.
her. Oh, so this kind of taboo, this kind of attack on the woman deter the woman to take certain steps to stand as an individual.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. I'll come back to you again if time permits. Okay, Dr. Ashima, what do you think? Why do you think victims of domestic violence stay in a relationship for so long when they know sometimes it may not be as bad, but some of them get such terrible bruises and they even have permanent damage? Why do you think they stay? Yes, one thing is for a fact that we have kind of normalized domestic violence, but what is the mindset of the victim? Is it because of fear, or is it because of the social stigma? What could be the reason that victims stay in such a relationship where their life is in danger?
I think it's individual. It differs individual to individual, but if we see commonly, it's usually the victims are not, let's say, they're not financially independent also, most of them.
Okay.
Most of them are not emotionally independent also. When we talk of independence, many of us are thinking about the job and money, this and that.
Yes.
But very important factor is emotional independence,
Okay.
most of us feel that even if we're beaten up, at least we have a husband, at least we have a family structure which appears normal. At least we are not divorced. At least we are not this.
Okay.
One is that factor, I think. Secondly, the children also play a very important part. Most of the women, they are scared that the children will be affected, they will lose their father, they will become, they will be children of a dysfunctional family, where they fail to recognize or they fail to appreciate that when when you make a child stay in that environment, it is worse than divorce also sometimes. So these are the other two factors. There can be many other factors other than that. As I said, there are individual reasons, but these two things, independence of a person, of a woman, and the children, and also stigma of coming out of a marriage, as Ma'am Sophia said, you were stigmatized a lot, even if no one will know why you came out of a marriage, no one will know why you divorced, but everyone is very eager to judge, since you have divorced, you must have failed the endurance test, you must have failed the qualities of being a good woman. So no woman wants to face this. Yeah, the stigma is very hard for every woman.
Okay, so so I think I'll continue with that. How would it affect a child? The child, if the children they observe domestic violence, they are being subjected, or let's say they're not observing that the one of the parent, usually the mother, is a victim of abuse. How does it affect them at the current situation, and then going further in their future life? How would it affect them psychologically?
How will it affect them? If you go by literature, if you go by the studies, then everywhere it is found that a child who comes out of this kind of environment will have higher rates of every kind of mental illness, from anxiety to depression to everything. He will have poor tolerance of stress. They will have poor coping skills. If we go by the literature. Coming to my own experience, no child who comes out from this kind of environment, they don't have a normal childhood. They are not happy. You might have given him or her a father, you might have given him, her, or mother intact marriage, let's say, but most of the children, they are suffering from anxiety. Most of the children are suffering from depression, suicidal thoughts. They do very poorly in the academic field. They are not able to achieve what they might have achieved if you had, if they were provided with a healthier environment. So this is how they are affected. Yeah, many times the parents will keep on blaming the child. That you don't do well. You're playing video games. You're doing this. You're doing that. But they fail to acknowledge that maybe the environment they are giving is the reason why the child is behaving or is in stress.
Okay, thank you so much.
Utpala, I just want to add on Dr. Asheema's this thing.
Okay, please go ahead.
If a woman are repressed, it impacts the nature and quality of the education that they can impart to their children. So, like it turns impair their development as progressive human being. So, society as a whole, we all suffer. So, I just want to add.
Okay. So, okay, thank you so much. I'll just come back to you. I think we still have enough time for another round of questions. My next question is for Vivian.
Yes.
Okay. So, Vivian, in your okay, can we have Vivian on the screen, please? Okay. Right, Vivian. So, if well, we've been talking about how society and how our cultural upbringing affects the way a victim thinks. So, what would you like to tell victims of domestic abuse to gather up that courage? Because most often than not, they're fearful of how the consequences. So, what would you like to tell them? Do you offer home visits, or what are the kind of steps that one stop usually gives to the victims?
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for the question. Actually, after the intervention of the critical stage, we do keep monitoring.
Okay.
After also going hand in hand with the psychosocial counseling.
Okay.
Sometimes if they are unavailable physically, we do it on the telephone. And also this happens at least for at least 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
Because the trauma that they face, post-traumatic stress disorder, either anxiety or either depression, does not go away in 1 or 2 counseling. It is a continuation of the process. Mostly when the victims are having enough confidence to be resilient enough to accept the fact that this is life, however my rights are being taken away and I have to stand up for it, then they have the confidence to approach any kind of authority that is available with their knowledge.
Right.
And also we monitor and make sure that they don't misuse and misinterpret those rights.
Okay.
So those are the kind of monitoring that we have been doing it. And at the same time, domestic violence victims, mostly they don't only suffer from the perpetrator. They are also victims from before the marriage.
Okay.
Either somehow or the other. Either financial victim, either in emotional, parents being unavailable, being bullied at school, being the how you call it, somebody who are being easily manipulated, being the okay person,
like
however,
a submissive,
they don't want that to happen. Yes, being too submissive. However, they don't want, however, to fit in, they are being submissive. So those things enrage and come up when they are in adult age. And with the time of being the violent occurrence, it kind of like looked like the violence happened at the same time. The victim themselves also went through a lot of trauma in the previous time of their life. So they are more prone to be more into suicidal, depression, taking extreme steps. So that is why we make sure that they are being monitored strictly. At the same time, every decision they make, sometimes even couple counseling are encouraged strongly. So that the woman not only is aware about what she is, or the victim herself is not only aware about what is going on, the husband or the perpetrator also knows about it, and then they both work together for the welfare of their family or the couples.
But are there cases where, you know, a divorce would have been a better option, or does counseling always work and can the couple get back together?
Sometimes it takes months to decide that, ma'am. We cannot immediately say that this is the issue, because it's been a 10 or 2 to 3 years of marriage, and 1 year, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of hardship cannot be equalized in 1 hour, 2 hours of statement or talking. So it is an observation, intervention, and also on probing. So with a lot of findings and a lot of inputs from amongst the team, and also with the agreement and the consent of the victim, we kind of make a next step. So basically, sometimes I believe that behaviors are alterable. Alterable. So if they really want it and they want to change behavior, under the monitor of either psychiatric or psychological evaluation, so they can make a changes. However, whatever they have made in the actions of violence is not acceptable. So if the couples are willing to reconcile and then agreed upon their change of behavior, then we can put them under observation. So far, some cases become successful, but not all of them.
So in your experience, when other victims, I believe it's the identity is of the person is not, I mean, it's a very
discreet.
Yes. So are the victims comfortable enough to call up, or do they need, does the complaint come in through neighbors, or how does it work? Is it usually the victim?
Call up mostly. or they went to the WPS, Women Police Station.
Okay.
And then they referred here for domestic issues.
Okay.
Because most of the time it looks like a small quibbles, small issue. However, it is a deep-rooted issue.
Right.
It was a deep-rooted issue, most of them.
Okay.
And then it surfaced out later of 5, 10, 15 years.
Okay.
So, which impacted on the children, the entire people that lives around them. So, if we are to resolve the issue, we have to look at the upbringing of each of the victims and the perpetrator also.
Right. Okay.
We cannot blame the perpetrator being a drunkard when the father has been drinking all the time.
Okay. Right.
That is how he imitates the behavior. We have to make him believe that drinking is not the solution to all the problems. There is another way. And even for the victims, hiding and suffering and tolerating is not the solution. Husband has to understand, speak the way he would understand, like communicating effectively.
Right.
Because what we want to say might be what we want to say, but what the person can hear or understood might be different. So there is a lot of issue in every cases. There are different constructions, things that can be constructed out of it.
Okay.
I cannot really define what is what exactly, but in generic, this is what it is.
Okay. So one last question related to this.
Yes.
Do you have any awareness programs which you organize so that women become aware of their, as you mentioned in the beginning, their rights? Yes, they would become aware of their rights once they reach out for help. But apart from that, do you proactively go to different places, locations or villages and make the people aware of what kind of help they can get in such a case?
Absolutely, ma'am. Just this month itself, we went to intervene with affected and infected HIV and AIDS patients.
Okay.
Where at least, I cannot disclose the details, where at least 72 plus participants were there, where we didn't tell them this is and that is wrong. We told them how to overcome that, what is the next step, being visionary, being resilient about the situation that they are in. What has ever happened in before, we cannot help it now.
Right.
About their life of being an abuser wife or being a victim. But we can teach them how to be resilient.
Okay.
Being confident about the situation that they're in, being optimistic about the future. So that they have some hope for the people that's living with them. Right. And also we have done a poster pasting in all the localities that wherever we can reach. We have done awareness with the district administration. Okay. We have done awareness with schools and colleges about child marriage. Right. And also POCSO, so protection of sexual offense against a child, those things we have done. Okay. And also about equal rights and opportunities, gender equality in the community base.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Vivian. It was really, really nice and encouraging to hear your views and points. Thank you. Next, I'll come to Ms. Rajkumari Sophiya. Well, can you tell us how does, like the incident you mentioned in the beginning of the debate, which was preventable. So how do you think society, domestic violence affects the society, and what should people do if they witness domestic violence proactively?
Okay, so your first question, how does domestic violence affect society? Yeah, to build a healthy, sound and a stronger economy and a welfare society, we need participation of women in all spheres. Okay, usually a society that tolerates violence inside closed homes, closed doors, will witness violence on the street. So if we hope for a progressive society, if the whole society wants a progressive society, a Manipuri, a progressive Manipur, I mean, being, making your inflict violence on your woman, that's not going to help. So countering domestic violence is one of the basic fundamental way to bring positive social change, because domestic violence attempt to disempower and repress women. If women are not empowered and independent, society cannot progress, and social ills will only increase. So we all need to understand this is not about men versus women. This is about our society. If we treat our women or our partners, in this regressive way, our society will not progress. So, like any society without any abundant natural resources that has become a prosperous one in modern times has only been done by increasingly empowering women in the home and workplace. So this has helped boost the gross domestic product, which in turn leads to greater prosperity as well as the resources for education and child care. So to proceed towards a progressive society, we need to work hand to hand, as an equal partners, men and women, not as a superior and an inferior partner. So then the second question, you said what as a society what we can do, right? So like earlier I have mentioned, if we come across any violence, any domestic violence, is not a family affair. Okay, even the perpetrator, when you go to intervene, if you witness this kind of domestic violence, when you intervene in your neighbor, the first thing the perpetrator will tell you is, please don't intervene. This is
exactly.
our family affair.
Yes.
Mind your own business. But this is our business. We need to tell them. And recently, I had intervened once, and the same statement given to me. But then I said, no, this is not your family affair. This is my business. This is my business. And I'm going to inform if you don't stop screaming and abusing your wife verbally, I'm going to stop. And the moment I said that, he was quite stunned. He didn't expect that kind of answer from someone, because every time he does this, people kind of retreat. They don't go forward.
Exactly.
So so it became kind of an encouragement for a perpetrator to do this. But the moment someone come and say that, no, this is no more your family business. This is my business. This is my duty as a citizen. My duty as a person who witnessed this. So it kind of deter
in such a case, how can you, in case they're not ready to listen, let's say, and they say it's none of your business, how do you approach the legal system? Let's say, even if you have to go to the police, how do you approach them? Because usually in Manipur, what I've noticed is some of the numbers are not actually functional. So, and again, some of them might just say it's not in our jurisdiction. So what is it that like legally that we can, what are the steps that we can take up legally in such a case?
See, unlike decades ago, right, many years ago, it was a different scenario, completely different scenario. When you go to the police station, it's kind of like people just don't want to. Because it is, instead of getting some justice going there, you are subjected to many other kind of harassment. So, but now it's not like that, I think. As time evolved, our justice system is like very progressive now, even though our society has not evolved that much. We have over the recent years, we have beautiful landmark progressive judges, progressive judgment from the Supreme Court, which is like quite amazing. It's remarkable, which uphold the Constitution and the nation. Okay, so now when a woman, like for instance, when if this person says no, I will continue doing this. So the option as a as an individual, as a person who witnessed this kind of violence, I can dial the police station if the police doesn't respond, and I believe it will respond, and I can go and file a police complaint. I can inform the locality club, because we have a very strong club and the women's organization. But at least we can make an alarm, even though what they will judge, what judgment they will, how they will decide on the case, that is a different scenario. But at that point of time, we can intervene as a society, as an individual.
Okay. My last question to you. In the case of the incident that happened a couple of days ago about the lady who took her life, in that situation, what do you think the neighbors should have done, and was it preventable?
Definitely. That's what, not only the neighbor, she was not suffering silently. She was constantly seeking help. She was shouting out for help. She was calling her family. In fact, she went back to her parental home. So, I mean, some women suffer silently without telling anybody. But in this particular case, she was calling out for help, which we ignore. She was constantly saying that I have been beaten, black and blue. She was showing the images to just prove her statement that she has been abused. So there is no way that we can say that she was suffering silently, and there is no way that we can say that we couldn't have intervened. Definitely we could have intervened as a family, as a neighbor. She ran out when she was being beaten up by the family members, and the neighbor didn't, like kind of intervene further. When they took her back, they didn't intervene. They just stopped it there. So we could have definitely prevented this.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Sophiya Rajkumari. Just related to this, I'll just ask Vivian. Vivian, in such a case, let's say a neighbor is witnessing the domestic violence incident. Can they call up the women helpline number, the 24, I think it's 24 hours, 24/7, 24/7. Yeah. So, and then would they intervene in such a case, whatever time of the day or night it may be?
Yes, very much, ma'am. Thank you. They would very much intervene. 181 is the number for women helpline. Whoever are in distress, 24/7, and in each district, we have the center open 24/7. And also, in case of out of network, we can use our mobile camera to record the events. So that can be used for evidence sake in the future. So that whatever has been said and done or reported are not fake, but it's a proven thing. So 181 is the number for all the women and children who suffer any kind of distress and domestic violence. In Manipur, anyone can call anytime, and they would respond. Not only that, they will provide censor and all the other services like medical, counseling, and lodging an FIR, assisting them with all the procedures of accommodating them in the shelter home, in the one-stop center, or further be it in Swadha Grey or Ujwala that I have mentioned earlier, and also any rescue team can also approach them. We are willing, not only willing, we are supposed to do. The service is available free of cost, and any woman should not hesitate. And also not being fearful of stigmatization, because whatever happened in the reporting the case or center, it's all absolutely confidential. That the other person cannot ask, or they have to abide by the laws. So whatever they have reported are truly confidential, and then they will be taken care of with a day and night security, medical assistance, all the other services provided.
Okay, thank you so much, Vivian. And do we still have Dr. Ashima online? Dr. Ashima, I think we've lost connection with Dr. Ashima. So that would bring us to the end of our open debate. Thank you so much for being on our show, Vivian. We've learned a lot and we've also got a lot of information from you. Thank you so much for that. And Ms. Rajkumari Sophiya, thank you so much for being on our show. And yes, from you also we have got a lot of information, and it was a very good discussion, and in fact the need of the hour. In fact, and thanks again to Dr. Ashima as well. I think we've lost connection, but we got a lot of information from her as well. Thank you once again to our 3 panelists for being on our show. And to our viewers, there's a lot, especially to our women viewers or any victim of abuse. It doesn't necessarily have to be a woman, it could be a man as well who is experiencing domestic violence. There is a number, there is a way. You can always call up 181, which is 24/7 available, as Ms. Vivian mentioned. Please do not be afraid of social stigma, and think about your life and your family, and to make things better for yourself. Do not bear with domestic violence. It is a crime, it is a punishable crime, and there is a law to take care of it. Thank you so much for watching our show. Please do not forget to leave your feedback and let us know if there are any social issues that you'd like us to cover on our next show. Thank you all. I'm your host, Longjam Utpala, signing off for tonight. See you again next Monday with another exciting topic. Stay safe and have a good night.